Welcome back and welcome back to the Horror Master YouTube channel. Welcome back to day number 26. Yeah, I can't believe we've reached that point of, being 26 episodes. It's pretty much how old I'm gonna be in November, which is fucking amazing. I'm gonna be 26 years old in November, regardless. Again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching all the videos. You have no idea the amount of time and dedication and the amount of sanity has gone through every single one of these videos. I mean, you can been slowly but surely been sanity going deeper, deeper, deeper into oblivion. But you know what? It's really fun doing this ranking walls, guys. And for episode 26, we're gonna be doing the Children of the Corn franchise. One of Stephen King's most notorious books. Of course, same thing with The Shining. Same thing with Cujo. Same thing with Carrie. No, even Christie was one of my favorite Stephen King based novels. And even the film was great, but regardless, we're gonna be tackling all the Children of the Corn films, except for the latest one, because the latest one, which is we're gonna be talking for 10 films. The 11th film, it was shown in like a small screening somewhere in the world. They have yet to release that film, so I could have waited until that film would have been released, which would have been fine if that film would have been released around October. But we're almost to the very end, and maybe by the time they release that film, October might be end. So I decided to kind of not wait until the movie was released or to do this rank 'em all. So we have 10 films in the franchise. So let's get started. So at number 10, at the bottom of the barrel, we have Children of the Corn 5 Fields of Terror. So, the Children of the Corn franchise is one of the franchises that the majority of the films aren't really the best films you're ever gonna watch in horror. There's some films that are great films. I'm not talking about the greatest films of all time. And of course, this one at number 10. It ain't the worst horror film of all time. Trust me, there are a lot worse horror films out there in the world that make you want to blow your fucking brain. With Fields of Terror, the idea was there, but I guess around this time, this is in the I want to say this was in the early 90s, 95, 96, around there. So again, horror at the time was kind of losing a bit of its luster. And with Fields of Terror, I feel it was a film that it just kind of did to just keep a franchise going, just to beat its last bleeding beat of a heart, if it even had a fucking heart. But it's a film that I really, for the purpose of this Frank Rankamo, I've only seen once, and there's not really much to talk about. There's not anything memorable that just stood out to me that makes me want to talk more into it. I think I've talked more about this film that I should have, but regardless, as still like I said before, at number 10, Children of the Corn 5 Fields of Terror. At number 9, we have Children of the Corn 666 Isaac's Return. Now, funny thing about this film, the same actor who played Isaac in the first film comes back and reprise his role, which that gave me some hope that this film was gonna be not the greatest, but at least a decent film, because they brought the original actor. They bring about Isaac back into the franchise. You know what? This should have been a really fun movie. Turns out it was the total shits. A bit better than Fields of Terror, but not by a lot, people. Like I said mentioned before, some of these franchises films aren't the greatest in my opinion. I mean, there might be a diehard Children of the Corn fan that might love 666 Isaac's Return, which, it's your opinion, and I respect your opinion, so I respect my opinion about this franchise. But to me, it really wasn't the greatest. I mean, there's some decent, and I mean decent moments that I do enjoy from the film. Maybe a couple of kills that are kind of more memorable. I think that's the perfect way I can say it. But regardless, Isaac Returns is respectively at my number 9. At number 8, we have Children of the Corn Genesis. Again, like I mentioned before, I'm gonna be sound like a fucking record player right now. The Children of the Corn franchise are one of the most memorable franchises you're ever gonna see. But with Genesis, I felt that this film tried its best to kind of capture that same feeling you feel from the first maybe 3 to 4 films in the franchise. The execution wasn't the greatest. Had a sort of a memorable cast, which I'm forgetting the fucking cast members about now. But regardless, it is a film that just as a curiosity, as a maybe, I don't know, a guilty pleasure, you might watch it and just be like, this is an interesting film. Like I said, it might be a number 8. It's not the best, but it ain't the worst. And let's just move on from that. At number 7, we have Children of the Corn Revelation. Now, I think from Revelation up, I think these are films that are kind of films that I might suggest anybody to watch just for the hell of it. Or maybe not, depending on your opinion. Like I said, my opinions could change right now. I could say that this movie is the fucking best, or it's total shits a year from now. It all depends. But Revelations, again, a bit of more memorable kills, a bit more of I guess the story kind of makes sense to some degree, in my personal opinion. But like I said, it's just a mix of emotions that, when it comes to films, that's what films are kind of make us to do, to feel mix of emotions, but not to the point of oblivion. But, Revelation is a little film that, has its okay moments. At number 6, we have Children of the Core Runaway. This is the latest installment. I think it is the latest installment in the Children of the Core franchise. And, as a film, again, the, as you're going to up the list, there's some memorable moments. But like I said, basically, Children of the Corn, just like kids running in the cornfield, slashing and killing people. Of course, there's the entity that, of course, appears. But, you know, Runaways kind of in par with almost the same thing with it. Kind of they were relations, kind of rewrite the script in a way, but it's kind of weird to think. But you know, Runaway, it's probably in the middle. Like, so maybe I have it in the middle because it's not the best and not the worst. Has some okay moments, has some bad moments, but not to the point of me fucking gouging my eyes out. I can actually sit down and probably enjoy the film for what it is. But a little film, great, not the best, but let's just move along. At number 5, I think from now on, from number 5 up, I think these are films that are probably worth your time of watching. So at my number 5, we have Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest. When you take the concept of the Children of the Corn, but from Nebraska, if I remember correctly, but bring it to the big city, it's kind of like Jason Goes to Manhattan, but children, in a way. That's the best way I can describe it. And the concept, I do appreciate the concept of bringing kind of that environment of this wilderness, farm, kind of small city environment to the big city, and bring a new light into the lore and the myths of the Children of the Corn. But like I said, a bit better than probably Jason Goes to Manhattan. Not by a lot, but like I said, they took that idea they got from Jason Goes to Manhattan, applied to Children of the Corn. You're in for a probably more memorable film than Jason Goes to Manhattan. Just give me my 2 cents about it. At number 4, we have Children of the Corn, the 2009 remake. I mentioned before and I'll say it again. I'm not against remakes. I believe that a remake could actually help impact a franchise to a much brighter audience. It all just depends if the script is good, if the acting is good, if it's at least worthy of being close but not being too similar, but staying true into the lore of the Children of the Corn or any franchise in general. So like I said, I am not against remakes. There's some fucking remakes that I fucking hate with a passion. I'm talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 09 remake. Oh yeah, I've talked about this a lot, but regardless, this little remake in 2009, when 2009 felt was the king of remakes, because in 2009 we had Friday the 13th remake, we had this remake, and I believe also Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it was 09, 07, or somewhere around that time. It gets blurry around that time, but for a remake of Children of the Corn, it was a pretty decent film. I actually enjoyed the living crap out of it. One of those films that I think I might rewatch it more than just 3 to 5 times, in my personal opinion. But if you're against remakes, that's up to you. But at least give this film a shot. It kind of helped a bit the franchise to a broader audience, to an audience who never grew up or wasn't even born when the original films were released. So, give it for what it takes. So those 3 reasons, Children of the Corn 2009 is at my number 4. At number 3, we have Children of the Corn 4, The Gathering. Now, I do personally believe that the Children of the Corn franchise should have ended after Part 4, The Gathering. I think this would have been the film to bring back Isaac and, you know, conclude this entire story, in my personal opinion. But of course, we got Isaac came back 2 films fucking later, or too late, in my personal opinion. But The Gathering's one of those films that doesn't really talk about Blood Children of Core fans, or the couple of Children Core fans that I've actually met or seen on YouTube. So, like I said, if you're a big Children of Core fan, let me down in the comments what is your personal ranking of these films. But The Gathering, like I mentioned before, it should have ended the franchise. They should have brought back Isaac 2 films earlier than this, not 2 films after this. It would have made the story a bit better. It would have made fucking sense. But give it what it's take. Enjoyable film, a bit more memorable kills. The casting a bit more memorable, even though I'm forgetting their fucking names. But for those reasons, it ranks up by number 3. At number 2, we have Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice. This takes place right after the events of the first film, when the townspeople kind of adopt all these children who were manipulated by Isaac and Jeremiah. So they take that, continue the story, but for somewhere around there, these children begin to act up weird again. Kind of going back into their evil way. See, that's a perfect way I can explain it. But as a sequel, I've always mentioned before, usually sequels are some of the most critical films in a franchise, because this will let you know if the fan base wants more movies. And of course, I think and believe it did its job, because we got fucking 6 to 8 to fucking 10 films later, and a remake, and a film that hasn't been released yet. So I do believe that Children of the Corn 2 was a major success at the time that it was released. A film that's not really talked about, a story that I believe is could have gone par and par with the original, but regardless, it respectfully sits at by number 2. And of course, at number 1, we have the original Children of the Corn. This is the only film of the franchise that I've actually seen more than 10 times. I mean, it is the film that I kind of not really grew up, but was my first, I guess, reach into the franchise, because you always gotta watch the original to see what is the big fuss about. And I do believe that Children of the Corn, the original film, is one of Stephen King's most famous adaptations in terms of book-wise. Of course, you were talking about book adaptations into films. You gotta bring back The Shining. You gotta bring back Christine. You gotta bring back Carrie. You gotta bring back Cujo. I could go on and on and on. But with Children of the Corn, the idea that kids run the town, kill the adults, and enter this weird cultish, praising a higher god that could be the fucking Satan himself. I don't even fucking know it. And then have this creepy ass boy in Isaac, who is basically, almost Satan's spawn in a way, not really, but was kind of chosen to be this new messiah. You have these kids brainwashed, sacrifice kids, kill kids. I mean, it's crazy to think that kids could be this terrifying. Like I mentioned before, if you thought a doll like Chucky is terrifying, what about an innocent kid, a 12 to 15-year-old kid with evil intentions, having a fucking machete, chasing you around town? The concept is scary. And then when you have the actress who plays Sarah Connor in this film, I give him props for that, because I was like, oh my god, that is Sarah Connor. I'm always gonna know her as Sarah Connor. I'm forgetting her fucking name, but she's always gonna be Sarah Connor for me and for a lot of people. But again, Children of the Corn, the '84 version, one of the greatest Stephen King adaptation films. I'm not saying it's one of the greatest horror films of all time. Probably top 50 horror films of all time, in my opinion. But regardless, the first one, the original Children of the Corn, ranks respectively at my number 1. And that does it for the video, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed this ranking all. Like I said, we're almost to the very end of this series, which it's a shame that we're almost to the very end, because I've been enjoying this series so much. I've been enjoying doing this video so much, even though sometimes it might get tiresome, because sometimes we work and all that, trying to push further with these videos, guys. It gets sometimes a big daunting task, even though I've never done this before, but it will be a learning experience if ever want to do this series, a different kind of series in the near future. So it is both a learning experience as well. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video for episode 27. Yes, we're gonna be tackling into the 27 Club. We're gonna be tackling. Let's see if I have my notes here. We're gonna be tackling the Reanimator franchise. Another one of those franchises that has kind of been beloved by horror fans, and a franchise that I've seen maybe the first two films. I need to check the other films, but regardless, stay tuned out for tomorrow's video, guys. Like I said, hope you like, subscribe to the shebang. Like I said, I think we're already past the 60 subscriber mark, or we're almost going there, guys. But like I said, if we could probably go beyond 16, and probably by the end of the year, my goal is probably go to at least 70, maybe 75 subscribers. But 100 would be amazing. But like I said, it all depends on how these videos do well, how you all like them and all that. But like I said, even though we're almost to the end of the series, we still have a lot of gas in the tank. And thank you guys for watching, guys. And until next time, stay metal.